G'day, welcome to the Good Tourism Podcast. I'm on the line with Christian de Boer. Christian is Managing Director of the Jaya House River Park in Siem Reap, Cambodia. Siem Reap, of course, is a booming tourist town that services Angkor Wat. Christian is also a vocal proponent of the Refill NOT Landfill concept. Christian, thank you very much for joining me on the Good Tourism Podcast.
Thank you.
Okay, Christian, the purpose of the GT blog and pod is to inspire the adoption of best practices, i.e. action around issues of sustainability, responsibility, inclusion, accessibility, and all of those good things. Before we discuss the actions you have taken to walk the walk, perhaps you can give our listeners a bit about your professional background.
Well, first of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to voice my concerns. I have been educated a long time ago at the Hotel and Catering Management School in the Netherlands, and have been allowed to live here in Cambodia for 11 years, and have also been allowed to work in 3 different hotels: Hotel de la Paix, Shintamani Siem Reap, and now Jaya House River Park. Mm-hmm. In those 11 years, I've obviously seen dramatic changes here in Cambodia, and where every single thing every year becomes better than the year before. And I've also seen quite a drastic change in weather patterns and the environment, largely or potentially created also by the tourism industry. Hence my initiative, or our initiative, of Refill NOT Landfill.
These are changes in weather patterns and, I guess, changes in behaviour in the local population. Are they the sort of things that have inspired you to take these things seriously?
Yes, it's for the past 4 years. It's raining at times that it should not rain, and it's dry at times that it should rain. I hear from my staff that the month of January used to be a cold month, which means like 16, 17 degrees, and for almost the whole month. Now we're lucky if we get 2 or 3 days. And so the changes in the various weather formats have been rather drastic and surprisingly fast, perhaps. And I believe that we should start to take action for ourselves and stop waiting for others, but simply do what should be normal. Do what we would do in our own countries, and we should apply that to the tourism industry in a rather drastic manner, perhaps.
And what kind of things are you looking at? I know Refill NOT Landfill is about water bottles, but what other sort of things do you think that, the tourism industry in the West is doing, which maybe isn't being pursued in places like Cambodia?
Well, first of all, eventually cheap could also become too cheap. I think the tourism industry, or responsible tourism leaders, should look for hotels that employ staff on a full-time basis, employ staff that receive healthcare benefits, and employ staff on decent, livable conditions are one of the many things that the tourism industry could take the lead, and one of the many things that tourism industry could set an example on how to treat fellow human beings. But with regards to Refill NOT Landfill, indeed, the tourism industry in Cambodia alone produces 4.6 million plastic bottles every single month. And that's really just the tourism industry. I think we need to take the lead and simply change that. Some people might say, oh, don't worry about us, we recycle. I would love to know where they actually recycle and where their recycling facility is, because as far as I know, after 11 years, there is no recycling facilities in the Kingdom of Cambodia. Alternatives exist, viable alternatives exist, affordable alternatives now exist. What often simply is still missing is the willpower to change. And I think I've proven here at Jaya House River Park that it took us a whopping 10, 15 minutes perhaps to go from a normal operating hotel to become completely plastic free. All it took us one signature of myself and a little bit of willpower of my management team. And within a rather short time were we 95% plastic free. As of to date, only our meat and fish comes in plastic, which means we've eliminated plastic bags and replaced them with linen bags. We've replaced the plastic water bottles inside all of the rooms and replaced them with Refill NOT Landfill bottles. The straws have been replaced by bamboo straws and so on. Those cheap takeaway coffee things have been replaced by a proper coffee machine that uses paper cups instead of the plastic. It's all been rather easy actually to change, and it should be viable for every single person or every single hotel manager to do exactly the same, providing they have the willpower to do it.
So, okay, Refill Not Landfill, is it a charity? Is that correct? Is it a not-for-profit?
Refill Not Landfill, indeed the bottles are being sold at cost price to make it accessible for as many people as possible. And the average cost per bottle, including logo and delivery and all of those things, is about $1 per person per day. And that means that every single guest gets its own bottles, and this is based on an average of 3 nights stay. So basically the cost price of the bottle is $3.10, and divided by 3 days is about $1, $1 per guest per day. And all we've done is we've simply increased our rates by $1, and thus it doesn't really actually cost me anything. In fact, it generates revenue for me because we get guests specifically booking with us because we are plastic free. We have guests booking with us because they want to make a change by voting very simply with their own personal dollars.
Right.
I hope that many other hotels anywhere on planet Earth would actually follow the lead and do the same. There is now finally strong interest from countries like Myanmar, Laos, and we've been talking to various people within the country of Vietnam to basically copy and paste this initiative. And hey, the more people that make a change, the easier and the better it is.
Did you start Refill Landfill? How are you involved with it, apart from being obviously a customer and someone who's a big advocate for the organisation? Are you involved in any official capacity with it?
I started it together with a gentleman called Dean McLachlan, and we started it 2 years ago, and have been working on it in our spare time ever since, basically. And the initiative has grown from a definite no, you'll never succeed, to now just over 120,000 bottles sold and delivered, and which means almost 500,000 bottles saved from entering the environment.
And they are aluminium bottles, is that right?
They're aluminium bottles. That's aluminium. Whilst aluminium is indeed not the perfect solution either, it's official statistics tell us that 1 aluminium bottle equals 5 plastic bottles, which means that as long as you save 6 plastic bottles, then it's a win-win for the environment, and then it's a win-win for everyone involved. And that's exactly 6 plastic bottles is what my guests use in about a day and a half. So again, given the fact that the average length of stay is about 3 days, it's a very definitive win for the environment.
And where are the bottles made? Are you doing that in Cambodia or elsewhere?
The bottles are made in China and are delivered here by containers and printed and customized here in Cambodia, in Phnom Penh.
Okay. You said earlier it took about 10 or 15 minutes to introduce. Really?
Yep.
What has been the response by staff?
My staff has been absolutely over the moon, mainly because they see the difference. It took a short while before they were on board, mainly because I needed to explain action and reaction. But the initiative has taken further wings here amongst my own staff, where they have started to clean up amongst their own houses. They have, for themselves, reduced the use of plastic, and they're now educating fellow villagers in and around their homes. One of my staff actually took it this far that he could have come himself to clean a whole village about 10 minutes north of Jaya's River Park, together with the various people living down there. And we took away truck after truck after truck of landfill material. And so momentum is growing here in Cambodia, and we're using it as well as a form of education. But in a day and age where Europe is still, unfortunately, using lots of plastic, I personally believe that Cambodia should be allowed to have a little bit more time to understand that plastic is dangerous, mainly because plastic is still relatively new here in our kingdom for the Khmer. And that's why Refill NOT Landfill is solely and only focused on the tourism industry, because we should know better and we should take more action, and we have the means and the power to do so.
Yeah, in Australia, I have no problems going to the tap and just getting a glass of water from the tap.
Mm-hmm.
In places where I've lived in Thailand and in that part of the world, I do have an issue with just going to the tap and getting a glass of water. And so therefore, when I've lived in Thailand, I've bought water from the shop in plastic bottles because I know it's safe water to drink. How would tourists know where to get safe water to fill up the water bottles with?
Well, in total, right now in Siem Reap, there are 85 locations in and around town where people can refill their bottle completely free of charge. And yes, that is obviously drinking water. In total in Cambodia, there's 130 plus stations where people can fill up their drinking bottle free of charge. And it's actually, funny enough, it has turned out to become a win-win for both local business and Refill NOT Landfill, because it also brings in potential guests to local businesses that otherwise might not have come there. Cambodia, as in many other locations around planet Earth, people already get drinking water when they enter a business. And now it's merely being formalized and being given a name. Hence, this initiative has taken off rather well here in Siem Reap. And it's actually a win-win, as I said, for both Refill NOT Landfill and the local businesses.
Okay. So in terms of setting up the logos and printing of the bottles, if I was setting up a small hotel somewhere in Asia or anywhere for that matter, you said $3 per bottle?
$3.10 per bottle.
$3.10 per bottle, okay.
That's based on I order about 1,000 bottles every time. Then it comes down to $3.10, including delivery and everything else. So that's the total cost per bottle, which equates to $1 or just over $1 per guest per day, which is very viable.
And like you said earlier, you just raise your rates by that. I guess able to take their water bottle away with them?
Yes, please. I'd love them to take it home, and indeed most guests use it as a souvenir, which then has the added benefit of also becoming a marketing tool. And people talk about it, people talk about the initiative, and we have now received pictures of my bottles from literally almost all corners of the world. Mm-hmm. And it's funny to see our logo standing in Peru, but it's good.
Fantastic.
It's all such a simple project. Which is probably the reason why it works. Right. It's an enormously simple initiative that has been accepted, approved, and actually supported by the Siem Reap community. Virtually all participants are individual businesses. And one day I hope that the chain hotels will also come on board, and we collectively can make much, much bigger difference with regards to the future. And I started Refill NOT Landfill together with Dean for the very simple reason that we cannot wait any longer. We have to start taking action now. In fact, we should have started taking action a long time ago. And I personally hope that many other countries, many other hotels will indeed follow and take this exact same initiative. Let's grow it together and become bigger. What a lot of people think, and that is perhaps something that I should rectify straight away, I'm not earning a single penny on any of this, and there's no need for that. We're doing this mainly because I think we have to start taking personal action, and we should stop waiting.
Sure. So it's a not-for-profit venture, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, great. And I guess with Refill NOT Landfill, you're not, that sort of name doesn't restrict you to bottles only. You mentioned earlier about, linen bags. Will Refill NOT Landfill be looking at producing a line of other containers?
I would love somebody to take that upon themselves, and preferably under the same name. That would be fantastic. But I'm also running a hotel, yes. And I simply don't have much more time. We had the linen bags, but there was no logo on it, just simply to replace the use of plastic, and it's part of our initiative to be plastic free. But we're not having additional Refill NOT Landfill linen bags or any of those things for now. If somebody else wants to join and take that upon him or herself, yes, please.
Now, I've noticed you're posting on LinkedIn and pictures of trash lying around the streets in Siem Reap, which I guess is a demonstration that there is no real recycling facility. Otherwise, there'd be people going around picking up so that they can take it to the recycling facility and getting a bit of pocket money back for doing that. Why is there no recycling facility in Cambodia, do you think?
It's a developing country, and the country has made massive strides over the past 11 years. The country has done very well for itself compared to where it was. There's a long way to go, but life is getting better. The kingdom is getting substantially better, and people working very hard towards achieving that particular goal. But indeed, tourism is also increasing, thankfully, creating more jobs for more people. So it's a hand-in-hand process, basically, that goes slowly, which is where I believe we should take the lead and lead by example as a tourism industry.
I think when I met you in Siem Reap, you were talking to me about the Refill NOT Landfill project, but you're also about to launch your the property you're working at now.
Yes.
So you have launched and you're up and running. How long have you been open for?
We've been open now for about 11 months, since December 22nd last year, and we're doing good. Life is good. We're almost fully booked tonight, and it's as I said, we have people specifically booking us because we are 95% plastic free, and because we do say what we tell people that we're doing. And we donate $5 of every room every night to 4 different NGOs in town, in the fields of music, art, landmines, and street children. And that's very simply just the writing of a check, which means we give the money to the professionals and let them do their job. We're also part of the various Clean Up Temple Town campaigns and 10,000 trees. I started a long time ago now, 4 years ago, the Made in Cambodia market, which has gone from a one-off event to now every single day, and is creating many jobs. So it's about sustainability. It's about being true to what you say, and it's about taking action instead of words.
I agree with that. Well, congratulations on both projects, the Refill NOT Landfill and the Jaya River Park, is it?
Jaya House River Park, yes.
Jaya House River Park. How can people find you and contact you online?
They can email me anytime on christian@jayahousehotels.com. So that's christian@jayahousehotels.com, or indeed on LinkedIn or Facebook or any of those models.
Great. Listeners can also find links to this podcast and past and future editions on goodtourismblog.com, along with written GT insights contributed by academics, experts and practitioners. My vision for the Good Tourism blog is to offer insightful news and views free of charge to everyone, from students to guest house managers to tour guides to tenured academics, leading consultants, or even C-level executives. Now, if all that content is free, how can the GT blog survive? And the pod, of course. Well, I trust those who can afford to will step up and support. Individuals can donate via PayPal and even a cryptocurrency transfer. And organisations who appreciate GT can sponsor it. Anyone can like and share GT content with their friends and colleagues. Christian, thank you very much for coming on the pod.
Anytime. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to hopefully inspire someone else to make an effort with regards to the environment and future generations.